here's the moment. Minority Leader Chuck Schumer backed down on his threats to force a shutdown.
While the CR bill is very bad, the potential for a shutdown has consequences for America that are much, much worse. I believe it is my job to make the best choice for the country to minimize the harms to the American people. Therefore, I will vote to keep the government open and not shut it down.
I can't believe I'm saying this. It's kind of an odd sentence, but a truthful one. Schumer drew praise from President Trump. That's a rarity. Saying this, congratulations to Chuck Schumer for doing the right thing. Took guts and courage. Wow. But Schumer's fellow Democrats, as you can imagine, are outraged. Senator Kirsten Gillibrand was reportedly heard screaming during a Democratic lunch meeting. And per Axios, one House Democrat called it a complete and utter meltdown. Two others said people are furious. And AOC went on the record calling Schumer's decision a betrayal.
Just to see Senate Democrats even consider acquiescing to Elon Musk, I think it is a huge slap in the face, and I think that there is a wide sense of betrayal if things proceed as currently planned.
How will House Democrats and Senate Democrats work together now if there is such a sense of betrayal?
I think that creates a real challenge.
So what's really interesting about all of this, Tommy, is there's a Democratic meeting in Leesburg, Virginia. It's taken place over the last few days. It's House Democrats there, and apparently they're all angry. So from leadership on down, from centrists to leftist extremists, but they've arrived at one consensus. Here's what they can all agree on, Tommy. This is CNN. The member who CNN was speaking with said that Democrats in Leesburg were so mad that even centrist Democrats were ready to write checks for AOC for Senate, adding that they have never seen people so mad. Centrist Democrats saying, I want to write a check to a Democratic socialist, so they've managed to anchor the party further left.
So the American people keep trying to tell the Democrat Party, we want you to be more moderate. We want you to care about the working class American. That is your pathway to victory. And the Democrats have decided to put on noise canceling headphones and not listen to them at all. Listen, if Democrats think that caving to the very far left, the AOCs, who in my mind exist in very blue districts and also on social media successfully, if that's the path that they want to take, I mean, far be it for us to stand in their way. However, I think that they are completely ignoring what the American people want. And until they do that, they're going to continue to have this giant rift in the Democrat Party. And those that are more moderate and are more centrist that actually want to win an election within the next 10 years, they're going to have to get a little bit louder, because right now the loudest voices are getting the most attention and they're bringing the whole party down. Good for Chuck Schumer for having a reality check, but if they think the path forward is Jasmine Crockett, AOC, Ilhan Omar, best of luck in the midterms.
You know, Emily, it was interesting when we were here last Friday with House Speaker Mike Johnson. We were talking to him and we played sound bites of Democrats saying shutdowns are so bad, veterans don't get paychecks, Social Security checks don't go out. And then we put up a piece of reporting that indicated Democrats were advocating for a shutdown. Now, that still appears to be the case because you have Hakeem Jeffries in the House, so opposite of Chuck Schumer. And here's what he said. This is kind of rare. In a joint statement from Democratic House leadership, he said the far-right Republican funding bill will unleash havoc on everyday Americans, giving Donald Trump and Elon Musk even more power to continue dismantling the federal government. We remain strongly opposed to the partisan spending bill under consideration in the Senate. It is rare to see a break in Democratic leadership. Schumer here, Hakeem Jeffries here, and what it speaks to me is there is no leader in the Democratic Party right now, even at the top.
There's definitely no leader. That Fisher, I think, too, shows that there's a short-term investment and there's a long-term investment, right? And what they're disagreeing about is the strategy. We're talking about Democrats here. So first of all, that CR bill, same one we saw back in September when all of a sudden now it's full of the devil's ires. I'll say this, that leadership like Chuck Schumer, who want this to pass, saw this as a better talking point ultimately for the Democrat Party to say, well, we didn't put out of work 2.2 current million federal workers. Now they can keep the beast, as Elon Musk, as AOC said, rather than having to be themselves, which if the government shuts down, you can bet that would be an incredible talking point, because it would be the truth for the GOP that it was indeed the Democrats that put good, hardworking federal government Americans at home. I'll say this as well, that this is the same Chuck Schumer that called that other side of the aisle, BASTARDS. I don't know if I can say that live on TV, but he did multiple times. So this about face represents no conciliatory effort, no actual amplification of the American people. The reality is that it's simply strategy. And final point, when AOC talks about the acquiescing to Elon Musk, it's anything but. What this is doing, what you would be doing, is listening to the American people who want efficiency, they want tax cuts, they want easier lives for their family, and they don't want a bloated government. So they can shout all they want behind these closed doors, but it's the American voices that should be amplified with them passing this.
Harris, AOC's chief of staff put this out. He said, fights define you. And he went on to say FDR knew this, and he said Harry Reid knew this. It's not complicated. Well, one of Harry Reid's former staffers came out and said Schumer is right. Dems are understandably spoiling for a fight, but this was not it. Fight, but pick smart fights, they told Politico Playbook. So what's a smart fight? This isn't one, apparently.
The one that Donald Trump waged when he got shot in the head and the ear when in that situation with a would-be assassin in Butler, Pennsylvania. Look, they want the fight language because what does it do? It works. It wins. It wins elections. It wins victories once you're already governing. I mean, it's a winning course. You have to fight for something, though. It's not always just fighting against. But I don't think it's that deep. I think this is much more superficial. I do not think that Chuck Schumer took some deep look inside, and this is just my humble opinion based on all the years of career that we watched him live through. He didn't say, I want to change the way forward and get people to look at us as the good guys. He wants to retain his power. I mean, AOC and the rest, they want to retain their power. They just see different ways of getting the same thing done, self-preservation, because if they were listening to Americans, as both of you have put, Emily and Tommy, they would see a way forward as happening right now. Get on board and pitch your own ideas. Take some ownership of shrinking the government, come up with some ideas so you can say, well, you know that building? They really did have blue. And I was part of helping get that done. Now, when they get back in office, because we know politics can be, cyclical, if they make their way back anytime soon, they can take part of some of the victories. But right now, all they're doing is watching the chef cook in the kitchen and not even being fed.
Yeah, Griff, as we look at the clock, the Senate convened at 10:45 a.m. They are considering a few nominations. They have the Halt Fentanyl Act to vote on, then they'll vote on the CR. We don't know which 8 Democrats will come over and vote with Republicans. We know Senator Fetterman will. Senator Fetterman, I'm saying this a lot lately, is exactly right. He said this to CNN. Fetterman said Democrats are upset that Democrats are free riders because they know secretly they know that shutting down the government would be a disaster. He said that the GOP own the only exit ramp out of the shutdown. In other words, he's taking the hard vote and voting with Republicans. The rest are free riders following in his footsteps, and he's giving them cover.
Yeah, well, so you're right. They're going to do a test vote first. That's going to tell us a lot, Kaylee, because, again, if Schumer has Fetterman, you need 6 more Democrats. And as the saying goes, a leader with no followers is just a man out going for a walk. And so if these Democrats, and to Harris's point, if indeed the Democrats want to die on this hill, minus Chuck Schumer, it's going to spell peril for Chuck Schumer. Although ultimately the reasoning in Schumer's remarks, the first part of his remarks, he said, it's a Hobson's choice, a 19th century analogy of being between a rock and a hard place with no 2 good options. But yet the fear was that if we let the government shut down, it would give Trump all the power that he desires.
Exactly.
But here's a wake-up call for Chuck Schumer. He's kind of already got it.
It's so true, but he can blame Democrats for giving him more power.
We'll see where it goes. And then one last point, Kaylee, you're, saying that there's no leader here. Democrats don't even have a plan. I just reported yesterday on 127 House Democrats voted against a 1-page bill to extend the statute of limitations to prosecute COVID fraudsters. How in the world do you not agree to do that? And so on each case, we're seeing that the Democrats are far in disarray and also not in on any single page of music that they're singing from.
Well, we know Tim Kaine, too. Senator Tim Kaine of Virginia has said that he's moving toward being a yes.
So we will await that vote, and you're exactly right. They can't vote on the 1-pager, and they also can't vote to keep biological men out of women's sports. I mean, wow, Democrats, what do you stand for? I guess giving AOC money. She's a Democratic socialist.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily Campagno. Catch me and my co-hosts Harris Faulkner and Kaylee McEnany on Outnumbered every weekday at 12 p.m. Eastern, or set your DVR. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page for daily highlights.